Hi, this is Doug Rowland. I'm going to do a short video showing you how to use the Battleship game that the Seeds group produced, and it's made for ProPresenter 5, and just kind of show everyone how to set it up and how to run it. So the game itself is made by the Church on the Move team, Kids on the Move, and they just have a heart to provide free resources to churches to be able to utilize some of their abilities, because obviously a lot of churches wouldn't be able to make the same quality things here that they provide. So anyway, we're talking about Battleship, and well, first let me say I have nothing to do as far as any association with Church on the Move, Kids on the Move, Siege, or anything. I just use their resources and kind of a fan of the resources. But you go to seeds.churchonthemove.com. Of course, my internet's going to run slow. But once you get here, you have to create an account. It's totally free to create one. And that'll just get you access into the download site. So to look at the resources available, we're really talking about stuff for kids. Click on Resources Kids. You can see they've got quite a few games here. Not all these are games. We've done Wheel of Games before. We've done Deal or No Deal, Candyland, and they're all great. Tonight I want to talk about how to use Battleship. So the first thing you're going to have to do is download Battleship. So just click on the download all files, and that will go into your downloads if you're on a Mac. And I assume if you're on a Windows machine, it's going to go into your downloads folder also. It is in a zip format, so you'll want to unzip that if you're on Windows. It appears on the Mac. You can just use it as a zip, and everything seems to work fine. Okay, so we're downloaded now. We don't need this anymore. Couple things you can do here if you want to create a new video bin, like a new hot folder, to look specifically at your Battleship folder that you've got. See, we've got a ton of stuff here. We just want to see everything in Battleship. So right off the bat, you can see there are a few things here. We're going to use the Battleship title as the actual title to the game. That's what we'll put up at the beginning of the game. There's a blue and a red Battleship board that we're going to play on. Now, I'll show you that when we get there. But there's also some instructions. And the instructions are great as far as telling you kind of how to run the game, as far as how to run it with the kids. Now, what it doesn't really give you a lot of instruction in is how to set it up in ProPresenter and how to run it in ProPresenter. So that's kind of what I want to show you tonight. There's also an explosion, which is if it's a hit, that's the graphic you put up. If it's a miss, you put up the miss graphic. And as the ships begin to sink, you go ahead and black out the ships on the board so that it's aware, so that the kids are aware of which ones have already been sunk. So to start this, we're going to go ahead and create a new presentation. We'll just call it Battleship Game. Just leave it here. Now, I will say one thing that may be different from some of you. I'm actually running non-widescreen. The graphics were pretty much made for a widescreen projector. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Usually for the title itself, I'm going to go ahead and leave that as a let it go ahead and stretch it all the way and fill up the screen. Now we want to go ahead and add another one, add two more screens, or I'm sorry, two more slides on this presentation. We'll go ahead and bring these boards up and put them on here. So, but I will tell you, you really need to be careful on the two boards. If you're running widescreen, you should be totally fine. If you're running non-widescreen, you're going to want to set these to be full scale and not full stretch. Because what's going to happen is all these other graphics, the ships and the explosion and everything, they really look correct when they're displayed on a widescreen image. And so what I mean by that, we'll go ahead and right click here and we're going to edit the slide. Okay, so to edit the aspect of these images, we're going to right click on it and go to Media Properties. Then from here, as you can see, by default it's set to Stretch to Fill. We want to go ahead and say Scale to Fill. And I'll show you what that looks like here. There we go. That's the option I want, is scale to fit, not scale to fill. I knew if I said it enough times, I would eventually figure out what I was doing wrong. So like I said, we want to go scale to fit, and that will shrink it down and make it look like it's projecting on a widescreen image. So obviously, if you're on a non-widescreen display, you will have the black bars at the top and bottom, but that will make everything obviously much better. So the first thing you can do, the little double click to edit thing, you can go ahead and take that off. We're not going to need it. So as we're running this game, I'm just going to tell you all what we did. I know in theory with Battleship you would want to have the kids come up and create their images, or create their images. Sorry, police are going by, so I don't know what the heck's going on. Go ahead and create their boards by placing the ships in any certain locations they wanted, and then, you know, like the boys are going to come up on their board and they would put up, you know, a ship here, 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 and kind of draw it out. We ended up doing that part for the boys and the girls. Ahead of time, we had a grid pretty much laid out that the sound guy, or the guy running ProPresenter, had, and he could see where the ships were. So as we're running the game, what happens is, like if the boys' board is up, a girl is going to come up and she's going to pick a location, a grid location. Let's say she says C4. So when she says C4, you're going to come up here to this Add Image to Slide is the hotkey. It's the third one over. You're going to hit Add. And again, understand we're still... Now, so you can add an explosion. Let's go back where we were. You can go to Downloads. Battleship, Artwork, and the props. So you've got a miss, an explosion, which is a hit, and of course the ships. Now when we actually ran this in Kids Church, I went ahead and created another folder under here that was just called Graphics, and I moved all of the explosion, the misses, the ships, everything into one. That way it automatically went to that folder. When you're running ProPresenter 5 on a Mac, when you pull up the add, when you click this middle button to add an image, it will automatically go to the last place you imported a game piece from, right? Now on the Windows, unfortunately, Windows version, it seems to do something different. It always seems to go to pictures no matter what. So you kind of have to just stagger them in the pictures display, or in the pictures location. But anyway, we'll say right here, okay, so say she hits, whatever she called out D3, let's say, and that was a hit. So we will move the explosion that we just brought into D3. Now notice it's showing here, but it's not showing on the board yet. We have to come down here and hit show. So now it's showing on the board that it was a hit at D3. So now we would go to the girls' screen and let the boys pick which one they want. Okay, so they say A1. You have a boy that's not really bright when it comes to picking them. Again, you're going to browse to the same thing. And let's say that's a miss. Same thing, we're going to go up here to A1, move it up there, and hit show. And then it's just a matter of going down the line. Same thing over and over and over. And see, it always goes to the last one. So we want to go to, and that's why I would create a single folder that had them all in there. And that way it's just really easy to pick up every time. And let's say here, let's say just for the sake of showing it, now they've got 4 of these in a row and they've sunk a battleship. So this is ship 1, ship 2, ship 3, and ship 4. Let's say they sunk ship 3. So to make that ship show up as sank on the board, I'm going to go to add an image, go to downloads, and go back into graphics. But now I'm going to hit the ships and say, okay, ship 3, I'm going to import it in. And notice, and again, this is why you need to set your board to a scale to fit instead of a scale to fill. Because this way, these images come in, and when you're bringing an image, it actually brings it in a scale to fit anyway. As the background, it wants to make it take up the full screen. But see, now it automatically blacks out ship 3, and they can know it's gone. The kids know it's gone, and every time and of course, all that's saved as you go between screens here. Now, I will say this takes a little time to kind of get the catch of how to run it. We usually have kids / teenagers running our ProPresenter during our service. The problem was we kind of ran into quite a delay every time one of the kids would come up and call one of the grid locations. Then you got, okay, they'd look down at their sheet. Is that a hit or a miss? Oh, okay, it's a hit. Then they'd come up here and click, and then they'd have to, go find the hit. And it really seemed to take a long time to get between the different images. So, next time we do it, so, there was probably a good 10-second delay, and it really kind of bogged the game down, to be honest. So what I would do moving forward is probably, I'd probably have one of the adults running it. But, when a kid walks up there, they're going to call out a grid location. And most of the time, chances are they're going to call a miss. That's just the way it is. So then you already have miss going, and all you got to do is hit select. Now, if they do happen to hit an explosion, you just go up here and hit explosion and go. But if you wanted to hit miss, the minute they call C5, if you got 2 people back there, it'll work even better. One of them's looking at the grid, and one of them's running ProPresenter, and they can just say hit or miss right then, and to go ahead and bring it in. And then you just simply move it where you want it, drop it on the grid, and hit show. Now, they also included some some audio files with this. Like there's one for a hit and one for a miss. But like I said, we were struggling enough just keeping the game flowing. We didn't want to add one more step where every time they bring in a hit or a miss, they got to run over here into the audio bin and play a sound. That was just adding a little bit too much. The other thing you have to kind of consider about this game, we're running this currently. I'm recording this on a 27-inch iMac, so I've got plenty of screen real estate. We run this at home, and then we run our main Sanctuary computer is also a 27-inch iMac. But in our kids' room, we have a Windows 8.1 computer, and I'll be honest, I bet it's like a 15-inch LCD screen. So you really, the board looks about this big on there, so you really can't even tell what grid you're putting something in. So, we had to really move stuff around and do everything we could to try to make it as big as possible. Really shrink down all this stuff just to make the preview screen as big as possible so the kids could at least see where to put stuff. So that's just something to consider if you're running a small screen. You may want to check it ahead of time and make sure you can read the grid locations here as you're getting ready to drop something. And the same thing here. Well, I take that back. It wasn't the preview screen. It was this screen. We couldn't see. It was about this small, and we're trying to move stuff around and figure out where it is. It just wasn't good at all. But we did end up getting it enough to work. But like I said, I think moving forward, we would definitely want some adults to be doing it, and definitely kind of train people how to plan ahead and already have the screens clicked through so they could at least have it going quickly and not kind of bog the game down. Anyway, I'm definitely not a speaker here, but just wanted to help show some other people what we had figured out on this game and how to make it work, at least to some level. And hopefully you guys have tried this and try some of the other games. I'm going to try to do another video, do another one later on Candyland and maybe Deal or No Deal, two of the other ones we've used and used ProPresenter pretty extensively. But anyway, just like I say, I've got a blog out there. I do a lot of, maybe not a lot, but posts on kind of how to run kids' church, how to do some things on a budget, or as we're doing it without a budget at all, not having any money, trying to figure out free ways or very cheap ways. So if you're the one that's having to donate all the money yourself, you can at least do it in a cheap fashion. Because I know a lot of churches don't have a lot of money to just throw around on a lot of expensive equipment and expensive media and other stuff. But anyway, hope you guys have a good day. Thanks.